So today we're just going to be making a ring from a simple bezel cup and a ring band. So last week I posted a video on how to make a ring band, so you can check that out in the link below. And then next week, or I don't know, in the next few days, I'm going to be uploading a video on how to make just a bezel cup out of bezel wire and silver sheet metal. So I'm going to be having that too. This video is just going to be on how to add a bezel cup to your ring band. So here's an example. And then we're just going to be soldering. Some of mine are pre-made bezels and some of them are bezel cups I bought. This one is a handmade one. And then I'm just going to be teaching you guys how to solder this guy onto here. So you're going to want to circle the piece with your torch until the solder flows. You want to make sure to take the heat off the ring as soon as the solder flows. So here's just a few different angles. And then here's what your ring will look like after it's soldered together. And then you're just going to want to cool that down in some water. And then here's some examples of my handmade bezel cups. And then I'll have a video on this next week as well, but just for the purpose of the video, I'm going to include it here too. So after I cut out these handmade bezel cups, I just do the same thing and solder it onto my ring band. So if you're making the bezel cups by hand, you're just going to want to smooth it out before you solder it together. And then make sure your ring band is nice and straight. If it has any bends in it, just make sure you hammer that out before you solder it. And then I'll show you another example of me just soldering the two pieces together so that you guys can get the idea. And you're going to want to use easy solder here.
The more you know who you are.
And then spray it with flux. And then take your solder and put it on both sides. And then take your torch and heat that up. Start by circling the torch around the piece and then slowly get closer and closer until you're heating up the whole piece. You want to keep an even heat on all parts of the ring at all times. And then you just want to cool that down in some water, and then you have your soldered together ring band. And then I'll just show you one more example of the solder melting. So that's when you know when to take the heat off and it's all soldered together. And then to clean your metal, you're gonna wanna put it in a vinegar and salt solution or a citric acid or any other pickle solution. And I just like to use my ultrasonic cleaner to do that all in. And then after they're all clean, you're gonna wanna dip them in some baking soda to stop the acid reaction. And now that you have your rings settings, you're gonna want to clean them up and get them ready to set the stone in. I just like to use steel wool to clean it up after the pickle, and then I can clean it up further after that. And now I'm just going to get my table clamp out and start looking at the stone and comparing it to my bezel cup. If the stone is a little shorter than your bezel cup, you're going to want to sand the bezel cup down so that it doesn't cover the stone too much. I like to have a few millimeters of the stone poking out so that way the bezel just holds it in and doesn't block too much of the stone. And then I'm just going to be cleaning up the inside so that it's nice and clean and all sanded. And then using a paintbrush, I'm gonna get any of the little silver chunks out of there. So after the ring is all cleaned up, you're gonna wanna get your stone and fit it into the bezel cup. Make sure it fits nice and snug in there. Don't press too hard. If you're pressing too hard, the stone is most likely to crack. So if it is too small for your stone, you can just go back with a sander and then shave some of the inside metal out. And then using my bezel tool, I'm going to be going around the stone with even pressure and just pushing the bezel onto the stone. And now I'm going to be bezeling it the other way to just kind of push the metal over the stone so that it's kind of clipping it into the bezel cup. And then I just smooth that down a little bit and make it look a little prettier. Sorry, I couldn't get a great angle of that. And now you have your finished ring, and you can go on to polishing and finishing it up from there. So in my next video, I'm going to show you guys how to polish up this ring and make the bezel cup yourself. And I'll have a little bit more information on how to bezel the stone in there if this video wasn't as helpful as you wanted it to be. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave any questions in the comments below and give this video a thumbs up if you like the way it's going. Thank you guys so much. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.